What can AI and cognitive computing do for Wi-Fi? And will a new open source access point platform disrupt or develop the Wi-Fi market? My guest today is Dr. Kaustubh Phanse of Mojo Networks, and he's going to answer those two questions and a lot more right after this short message. All right, welcome back, everybody. My name is Claus Hetting, and I'm the host of FiNOW TV. And this, of course, is the interview program that brings you all the great stories and not least all the great people from across the Wi-Fi industry. So one of the hottest tech trends right now is, of course, AI, also known as cognitive computing or machine learning. And today we'll dig into what impact AI may have on Wi-Fi. My guest today is Kaustubh Phanse from Mojo Networks, and Mojo has already launched what they call a cognitive Wi-Fi platform. We'll find out what all of that means in just a moment. So before we get into that, remember that Wi-Fi Now, the expo and conference is going to Washington, D.C. this April 18th to 20th. We've got something like 40 great speakers lined up to give you the latest insights on Wi-Fi business and technology. And we also have dozens of exhibitors ready to show you the latest and greatest in Wi-Fi solutions. So we're only about a little more than 3 weeks away from this. And this is a really good time if you're interested in all things Wi-Fi to sign up. We're going to be covering all the new Wi-Fi standards, cities, enterprise carriers, security, and affordable connectivity as well. And so if you're anywhere in the Wi-Fi or wireless industries, this is the one yearly event that you're not going to want to miss. So if you're interested in some role at Wi-Fi Now, including the few expo spaces we have left, you better be quick because we only have very little of those still remaining. So for all the details, go to wifinowevents.com/USA. And if you have any questions, drop me a line at klaus@wifinowevents.com. All right, so my guest today is Kaustubh Phanse. He is the VP of Content and Product Design at Mojo Networks. Kaustubh, welcome to Wi-Fi Now TV.
Thank you, Klaus. Thanks for hosting me on the show.
You're most welcome. And Kaustubh, we want to talk about two major things here today. And the first is cognitive computing or cognitive Wi-Fi, as you guys call it. And the other is this open source API project or platform that you're participating in. But and they're both extremely important, I think. So let's start with the, but actually, before we get into that, we're going to start with the AI part, but just give us a 1 minute introduction to Mojo Networks before we get started on the other.
Sure. So at Mojo Networks, we are revolutionizing Wi-Fi with the power of cloud and open standards. So with the cloud, what we are doing is delivering a cognitive Wi-Fi experience, as you just mentioned, to our customer. And what it really means is, enabling a self-driving network that, radically simplifies the management of Wi-Fi network. Mm-hmm. We want to bring open standards to the Wi-Fi hardware and really, drive down the cost of what it takes to, deploy a Wi-Fi network, and also provide a lot of choice to our customers so that they don't have a vendor lock-in with their Wi-Fi network hardware. Mm-hmm.
Very good. So, and you also, by the way, I should say, it used to be known as Airtight, right? And you changed your name, I think, what was it, about a year ago?
That is right. So we rebranded back in January of 2016.
Right. Okay. So describe to us the concept and the thinking behind cognitive Wi-Fi, because this is what you're calling your AI-driven platform right now, right?
Yep. So before I jump into what cognitive Wi-Fi does, just to give a little bit of context of how the innovation that we did actually enabled cognitive Wi-Fi. If you really think about the devices that we use today, how many of those devices have an Ethernet jack? Right? Probably none.
None.
Very little, right? And even some of the new desktops, it's hard to find actually an Ethernet jack in them. So whether the IT teams like it or not, essentially what they are doing is they are operating an all wireless office space, right? And when we talk to a lot of the prospective customers, over the last 12 to 18 months across, different verticals, whether it's, schools, universities, large enterprises, service providers, I think one of the main pain points that really stood out in those conversations was their inability to quickly react to a Wi-Fi networking problem or a so-called Wi-Fi problem reported by their users. And that is where the cognitive Wi-Fi piece really came about, where it significantly automates the ability to troubleshoot a Wi-Fi issue, or in some cases, though the user may say that it's a Wi-Fi issue, it's maybe this Wi-Fi is slow, or I'm not able to connect to the Wi-Fi network. There are really many things that go on the network apart from the Wi-Fi that actually influence the user experience. So cognitive Wi-Fi really provides that direct insight to the network administrators who are managing the Wi-Fi network. It gives them direct insight in terms of how their clients are experiencing the Wi-Fi network, and if something does go wrong, it pinpoints what exactly that problem is and how to troubleshoot it.
Right, and so these are machine learning techniques that you're using here in part, or how does this work?
Sure. So it's a combination of machine learning techniques. So definitely with that is one of the powers that you get with the cloud that you typically do not have in traditional Wi-Fi networks that are, let's say, using a controller. Where you are limited by the amount of processing and storage power. In the cloud, you have the ability to churn a lot of historical data and employ a lot of interesting machine learning algorithms to get insights that otherwise you wouldn't have gotten if you did not have access to that data. So machine learning is one piece of it, but the other innovation that we have done, which really actually boils down to programmatically embedding a lot of the domain expertise that today lies in the head of the Wi-Fi expert community out there, being able to take that domain expertise and embed it into our access points at the edge and also in the cloud, so that you can actually gain a lot of interesting insights in real time, even without going down the path of machine learning.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the measurable effects of this. And when I speak about measurable effects, I'm thinking both from, it comes in two parts, I guess. So both from the network management side, from the IT department side, or from whomever else is managing the network, and then from the user end. How do these two groups, so to speak, experience the improvements in this space?
So yeah, so the ultimate vision of cognitive Wi-Fi is really to deliver that pristine experience to the end users, because at the end of the day, the health of the Wi-Fi network is really depends on how the Wi-Fi users are perceiving the Wi-Fi network. So we are employing artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to let the Wi-Fi network itself be self-aware and be able to automatically adapt when it detects that some things are going wrong, and it detects that there are certain types of client devices or certain applications, then it adapts and takes some decisions on its own to actually have a continuous sort of delivering a good experience to the end users. Now, whenever it actually requires to escalate certain things to the IT admin or the network management team, as you said, because at times there might be problems that may be outside of the realm of the Wi-Fi network itself. So let's take a specific example. Let's say a Wi-Fi user is not able to connect because the device is unable to get an IP address, right? Or maybe the DNS is not resolving a particular domain name. So what the cognitive Wi-Fi solution does is it's not just limited to the Wi-Fi piece of it. It also is able to find out problems that may occur in other parts of the network and actually pinpoint to the network management team exactly what went wrong if let's say a user is unable to connect and how to fix it.
Very good. So these are some of the technical and user experience aspects and improvements to that. What would you say are the main benefits on the business side in terms of reducing costs and generally in the business benefits of cognitive Wi-Fi.
Right. So, as we talked about earlier, right? I mean, given that we now have an all wireless office space, you have business critical applications that are also relying on the Wi-Fi network. So any network downtime, even if it's for one user or multiple users, is very costly. So the cognitive Wi-Fi solution definitely minimizes the network downtime and also enables better quality of service for business critical applications. And the other piece of it is, just by providing a much more efficient way to the IT team to be able to troubleshoot a Wi-Fi or any other network problem is huge. Because when we talk to the IT teams, they talk to us about spending almost 50% of their working day troubleshooting Wi-Fi issues. Going to CLI commands, doing packet captures, and it just ended up being a wild goose chase. So cognitive Wi-Fi solution completely eliminates that by pinpointing what the problem is, how can you solve it, and that actually significantly saves cost on the IT side as well.
And do you have this cognitive Wi-Fi solution deployed somewhere right now, Kaustubh?
Absolutely. So in fact, the Mojo Aware application, as we call it, which really is the manifestation of the cognitive Wi-Fi solution, along with our, the smart access points that are at the edge, they are actually available as we speak to all our customers. So it is something that we deliver to our customers as a part of our cloud solution at no extra cost. So as we speak, it is in fact being used by all our customers today.
All right. It's super interesting to see how this use of AI and the types of computing technology that you use will develop in coming years. I think there's a lot of folks out there, including yourselves, of course, working right now on bringing this to market and making it a huge success. And I think the potential is definitely there, right?
Right, absolutely. So we are definitely seeing that trend in the industry where clearly a lot of emphasis is being given to machine learning, building artificial intelligence, network analytics on top of networks. Yeah.
Very good, Kaustubh. The other thing I wanted to touch base with you about today is the open source AP project program. And I know you're not the only company working on this. Is a consortium of companies, that some of which I know. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention them, but so I won't. But please tell us a little bit about the open source AP, what the concept is and what the idea behind it is.
Sure. So, I mean, we are super excited to be leading the charge with open standards in the Wi-Fi industry. So if you really go back and look at open standards in the context of hardware, I think it has had a lot of success in the data center community. What we are doing is we are basically bringing that same thought process into the Wi-Fi industry. So we in fact have gone down the path of already having what we call as a SDK based AP development, where our customers, some of the large service providers that we are catering to, like Reliance Jio, for instance, in India, they can directly go and get their AP hardware from the manufacturer of their choice, and then on top of it, put the Mojo software on that hardware. So we are not really locked into a specific hardware or a manufacturer.
So this is presumably, I mean, I don't know how far down the road you are with this project. I know you guys are still working on it and making good progress. But this is really going to change a lot of things in the Wi-Fi marketplace if or when this happens, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there is no doubt that this will disrupt the Wi-Fi industry for sure. So in terms of where we are at, in pushing this initiative in Wi-Fi, as I said, we already have complete software disaggregation in our sort of Wi-Fi stack. What we have also done is we are also part of the Open Compute project, which is the standards or the sort of the alliance that is driving a lot of the open compute initiatives in the data center community. And what we are doing is we are working with the ONIE or the ONI bootloader, which is the Open Network Install Environment, which allows you to have essentially a common platform on top of which individual Wi-Fi vendors can port their network operating system or NOS. So,
right.
Yeah, so in fact, the recent OCP conference that happened in Santa Clara earlier this month, we actually demonstrated that with 3 different Wi-Fi access point platforms coming from 3 different manufacturers with 3 different QCA chipsets.
So this project, if it's successful, will not necessarily do away with the software of individual Wi-Fi equipment manufacturers, or will it?
That is correct. So the idea here is to really remove the vendor lock-in from the hardware piece, so that it gives customers the choice of using whatever hardware they want. And if you have multiple Wi-Fi vendors who are able to port their NOS or network operating system or software on top of ONI, then we essentially have what we could call as interoperable Wi-Fi access points that a customer can go buy from a manufacturer of their choice, and then port essentially whatever software they want from whichever vendor they like. So it really allows them to mix and match, and even potentially switch their software Wi-Fi vendor without having to rip and replace their Wi-Fi hardware.
So a completely open market for an open and interoperable market for Wi-Fi equipment, essentially, which would presumably be of huge benefit to, especially obviously to the service providers and so on deploying this, right?
Absolutely. So in fact, one of the case studies that I'll be presenting at the FiNOW conference will in fact shed some light on that, where service providers, especially given the scale at which they are deploying citywide, or in some cases even countrywide Wi-Fi networks, I think this will be a massive benefit to them for sure at that scale. But also I think for even enterprises. So when we are talking to a lot of enterprises or universities, they are actually super excited about having having that flexibility and not having to be locked into one vendor, one set of hardware, and be stuck with it for years.
Right, exactly. And my understanding is, especially of course for large enterprises or large carriers, they're invariably using multiple vendors, and the fact that they cannot usually get these things to work very smoothly together a lot of the time is a big problem for them. And this is part of the issue that you're resolving here, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, that is, I think, one of the issues that definitely the service providers are dealing with today, or even we have found that in a lot of large enterprises you have multi-vendor deployments. And at some point they do want to have the ability to sort of manage those APs from one management software versus the other.
Well, Kaustubh, it's a great project, and I'm going to be following that a lot. And of course, I should also mention before you go that you will be speaking at Wi-FiNOW DC, and we're delighted to have you there. So anybody watching can come and get a lot more details from you on all of this, including your cognitive Wi-Fi platform, all your other products, and of course also the open source AP project that you're a part of now. So we're delighted to have you, and I really look forward to seeing you in DC in a few weeks' time. Thanks for coming on.
Looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. All right, everybody, that's it for this week's show. So big thanks to Kaustubh Phanse of Mojo Networks for joining us. On the next episode, I will be talking to renowned telecom analyst Dr. William Webb about his Wi-Fi spectrum needs report just released, I think about 2 weeks ago by the Wi-Fi Alliance. So tune in again next time, and thanks a lot for watching. See you then.
Wi-Fi Now is a production of RCR TV News. To suggest a show topic or to learn more about Wi-Fi Now events, you can reach Claus Hetting at klaus@hettingconsulting.com. To find out more about Wi-Fi Now and all things wireless, visit rcrwireless.com.